Hey collective, it's Ron over here at Becoming Enlightened Together. I just finished a after Thanksgiving reading. It is it's Friday, and thank goodness the energy is actually decent. So the pre-weekly pull uh, again was extremely accurate in the sense that it did tell us that the energy would be less than positive. Wednesday night through Friday morning. But here we are Friday afternoon, and the energy is all positive. Well, except for the overall weekly energy, which is still the same. Haglas in reverse. So again, this is Haglas in reverse. All right, which looks the same as it does upright or reverse, but it is reversed in this case. And it talks about disruption, disruptive forces, negative payoffs of some kind, natural disasters and stagnation, loss of power, pain, suffering, hardships, crisis, sickness, very, very low vibrational and difficult energies for anybody to cope with. Now, in terms of its magical connotations, it's used typically in terms of meditation and reflection to bring a more optimistic point of view, realizing that no matter how bad things actually are at that moment, they could always be worse. That's more or less the power of Haglas. Okay. Now the past energy, what we got is Radho. Radho in the upright. Radho is the blessed journey. Okay. It talks about anything dealing with forward momentum, wheels, carriage, wagon, car, automobile, boat, plane, chariot. Talks about traveling, again, journeying, going on a vacation perhaps, right actions, being in control, messages coming and going, traveling, not just in terms of lifestyle changes, but also lifestyle directions and relocations, the way that we're conveying ourselves in a sense. Talks about evolutionary changes, in other words. Also a change of place or setting. Seeing world rhythms, the dance of life. So it talks about rhythms and cycles, which our future also displays in terms of our future energy for today, which is Yera. I'll get to that later. Okay. But in terms of its magical connotations, again, it is considered to be the blessed journey, so it's to solicit the favor, if you will, of the gods. And you can do that by inscribing it upon your luggage, yourself, your children, your pets. Again, to solicit the protection and everything else, not just in physical journeys, also in shamanic journey. So if you're going to the other worlds and you are doing those kinds of endeavors, not everybody does, of course, whether you call it by another name or what have you, it matters not. If you're deep in your spiritual psyche and you're traveling to different planes of existence, so to speak, and that can also be done with altered states of consciousness and some of the things that people partake in to achieve those states of mind, states of spirit, so to speak. And I'm not here to judge in any way, shape, or form. To each their own. As long as you're not abusing it, there's nothing wrong with it as far as I'm concerned. But that's Radho. That's your past energy. So basically, it's been pretty tough up to now. If not for you personally, definitely it was for those who were, again, in your energetic sphere of influence. And although I don't have much here to show the karmic energies, this is all positive energies for today. It could still be reflective of some of that residual energy that we've been picking up, off and on for months now. Now, at the present energy is the goddess Freya herself. And this is Fehu, and this is in the upright. Now, she is the goddess of magic and fertility, battle. I mean, she's given many, many titles, as most of these gods and goddesses do. She was the consort of mighty Odin himself, and is the one, um, you know, stated to have given him or taught him magical ways. Okay. But what it means in general, Fehu stands for all things related to abundance, and that would be like wealth. It actually means cattle, because cattle, of course, back in those days, out of my freaking Appalachian Mountains. No offense to anybody out there who might be. Uh, but anyways, that might have been offensive. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. But basically, it talks about wealth of any type. Okay. Fulfillment and power, material gain, possessions won or earned. It talks about earned income, abundance, or financial gain of any kind, or strength. It talks about increases in the now or near future in terms of your financial abundance. It talks about hope and plenty. And again, basically anything dealing with abundance. It talks about social success and energy, foresight, fertility, creation, and destruction as well. In magic, it's used basically for increases of abundance. Okay. Now, as far as our obstacles and challenges are concerned, this too is positive. It's Manas, and Manas is in the upright as well. All the energies are, except for the overall weekly, which ends today, or no, actually it ends tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's Saturday. I'm sorry. This, this Thanksgiving holiday's kind of messed up my internal calendar. But anyways, what Manas talks about is things human. Humanity, the self, thought, altruism, creativity, the attitude towards others and theirs towards you. It talks about friends and enemies, talks about social order, talks about intelligence, talks about forethought, creative skills, abilities, divine structure and awareness. It also reminds us to expect some form of help or aid, either now or in the very near future. So if you're expecting something or you're in need of something, it is coming, okay? Spirit, if you will, has heard your prayers or has seen, your needs, concerns, and they are being addressed. Even though you may not see it right now in the material world, it's coming. Now, as far as in the magical realms, it's used basically to cultivate your own human potential to the best of your abilities, being the best you can be in a sense. So you can bring forth anything that will benefit both the world and you personally. That's what it's used for magically. Now, in terms of our guidance and help, we have Berkana. And Berkana is also in the upright. Berkana basically is representative of the birch goddess, sometimes referred to as Birchta. The Great Mother talks about the birch tree, which is for them a something that represents purity, for example. So purity is part of that. Birth, fertility, mental, physical, and spiritual growth of any kind. Liberation, regeneration, talks about both power and renewal, the promise of new beginnings. So if you're like so many of us out there waiting for this cycle to end so that we can start anew into something fresh and different and productive for us, it's coming. We've been promising this for some time now, and of course everybody's on a different timeline, but if you're seeing this, it is coming. So I have to remind myself constantly also to be patient. So there's nothing wrong with dealing with that. Okay. And that's something else I want to address here in a few minutes, but let's go ahead and get through this first. It talks also about new growth, the arousal of desire. So perhaps you have a new love, or maybe you're rekindling a passion with your old love. Either way. It talks about a love affair, talks about new birth, talks about proposing of an enterprise or a new venture of some kind. Perhaps you're thinking about starting your own website or your own entrepreneurial pursuits. And I wish you all the very best. Good luck to you. In magic, it's used basically as Well, in matters of fertility, for example, if you're having a hard time conceiving or producing a progeny of your own for whatever reasons, you can use this magically to aid in whatever else that you may be getting from conventional medical procedures and help and things of that nature. I'd never tell you not to use it. I personally have not gone to a doctor in 20 some odd years, and I've been healthier than I've ever been before. So, but I'm not trying to tell you how to conduct your business. You have to listen to your own internal, you know, um, voice and so on. Do what's right for you. It's used in matters, again, like I said, of fertility, and that doesn't just include physical fertility. It also talks about the bringing forth of any new creation or project. So, again, I always use the analogy of a garden, growing a new garden, or growing a new enterprise of your own or something of that nature. Maybe you're creative in terms of artistic abilities or, aspirations. This is something you would use in regards to that. Okay. Now, finally, our future and our outcome is Yera. And Yera this time is in the upright. Now, Yera talks about, long story short, the fruits of your labor being, made manifest. So you are now reaping what you've sown, good or bad. In this particular case, though, it's all reflective of very positive energy. So the collective is bringing in some very good things for itself. Okay. So it talks about, in terms of legalities, you are going to win. You will be rewarded. You'll also be rewarded with things such as peace, commitments. It is a time of peace and happiness. It's the truthful season. So what was hidden is being revealed. It talks about breakthroughs and stagnation. So if you've been suffering from, the brakes being put on, so to speak, from the universe, well, that is about to be changed very quickly. So it also does refer to cycles. Everything changes upon its own time. It's not when we want it to happen, generally speaking. So, this is why they say God's timing, in terms of religious dogma and everything else. And of course, in all dogma, you're going to find elements of truth, universally speaking, things that you're going to find across the board in every religious or dogmatic belief system that are similar in nature. And this is one of those things where it will happen, but it'll happen not in your timing, when the universe believes it to be the best time, the most perfect time, the right time. Okay? Now, you'll have to take that up in the universe, of course, if you're questioning what that might mean, or, why can't I have it now, kind of a thing. All right, and we've all grappled with that, I'm sure, at some point in our journey. But in magic, it's used, again, from manifesting almost anything. It's another one of those law of attraction runes, It's not like the wishing runes that I've talked about, which is Wunyo and Gibo and so on. But it is a rune that is used in terms of reflection and bringing about in reality the things that you desire, in your heart and your spirit. So that's what it would be used for. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, I think, was something I hear about a lot on here from readers, and this is not the crack on the readers, really. This is something I'm grappling with myself, when they talk about things such as divine unions, or you're in your divine purpose, or that you're a divine feminine or a divine masculine, or you're working with your divine counterpart or twin flame or soulmate or whatever the case may be. What we don't realize by saying a lot of these things aloud, in many cases it could be a sign of egoism instead of true divinity or true spiritual growth, because when we're growing, we're not really trying to telegraph that to the world per se. We're just living it, and what is meant to be seen by others will be seen by others, and it's going to be reflective. In other words, for those in which they become angry at your mere presence, it's because you reflect something to them about their lack of authenticity. Things that they could desire to be or want to do for themselves, but have lacked the courage or simply didn't know how to proceed to implement those things into their life. So you represent a reminder of that, and this is why they automatically dislike you, though you've said or done nothing wrong to them. And in other cases, people will simply gravitate to you. They will come out of nowhere and they want to tell you their entire life story because you reflect that positive energy, a safe energy, an energy of, divinity, so to speak, or let me rephrase, a lack of spiritual growth that you're not announcing to the world. Your actions themselves announce it to the world, and you're not doing it consciously. You're simply emanating at a higher resonance, vibration, and frequency. So people of a like, mind will, as you probably have heard many times, gravitate towards you. So it's something I think that, I think maybe we should think about because of the vernacular we choose to use a lot of the time. I've done a tarot spread, and I'm going to be posting that here next. So, the tarot spread, of course, I pulled out many major arcana cards, but on top of those, one of them, and one that was actually in the middle of my read. I'm trying a new read today. It's a 9-card read, a pull. And the first card you pull, or what the overall meaning of this particular reading is generally about, was the Empress. So somebody that embodies, if you will, the elements of all 4 queens within the elemental tarot deck. So, and all 4 elements, of course, being the water elements, the air elements, the earth elements, and of course, like myself, the fire elements. You have mastered all of those things from the feminine perspective, and you become more or less granted the title, so to speak, of the Empress. So, an empress rules over all the kingdoms, right? Whereas a queen rules over her individual kingdom, so to speak. To give you some kind of a materialistic perspective of what I'm trying to say here. And again, I don't want to get caught up in vernacular. We're just talking about people in different levels of the journey here, okay? And we're all at different places in that journey. And this is why we are asked and reminded to forgive people when they have, done some pretty nasty things to us, or said nasty things, or treated us in a less than honorable fashion and everything else. And yes, there's nothing wrong with feeling the negativity that you'll feel from the disclosure of those things. It's human, and we have to grapple with both sides of us, the light and the dark side. We don't pretend as though it doesn't exist. So, but what we have to do is we have to, basically embrace both sides of those and find the meaning of what all of this is representative of. But that does not suggest that we allow the people to do, beyond a certain degree, certain transgressions against us or those that we love. You're certainly within your, rights to protect yourself, for example, if somebody comes at you, or whatever the case may be. But by and large, what it means is when people do act irrationally or in a low vibrational manner to us, we can look at it from they're just at a different place in their journey than we are. Perhaps you've lived many lives and they're new souls. They're still learning. Perhaps they're just very stubborn, and I've met a few of those along the way. Again, they're just at different places in their journey. They're going to learn either by wanting to learn or the universe helping them to want to learn because, of their situation being made worse and worse. And again, one of the reasons why karma exists in the first place. For lack of a better way of addressing that terminology in a way everybody can understand. So karma. Alright, so I've rambled on, and I just, wanted to share a few things with you because it's been kind of bothering me. I listen to some of these other people from time to time, and I hear what they say, and, they get this almost spiritual elitism that they don't even realize, I think, that they are perpetuating with some of the things that they say. And that's not spiritual at all. So we have to learn how to be more loving, understanding, and kind. The Christ consciousness, the Buddha consciousness, the Krishna consciousness. And to be an example by our actions, not our words. Our words are important too, but it's our actions that manifest the reality of, where our hearts are. So people say things that aren't true all the time, as we know. But you can only keep the outer mask on for so long with the things that you actually do before it becomes apparent. So, okay, with that being said, that's all I have for today's reading. It was very positive for the runes. I'm going to go ahead and do the tarot spread here next, and I hope that overall that it's going to be an equally positive one. I mean, what the cards that I pulled in advance do seem to be very, very positive. Like I said, the overall energy is that of the Empress herself. So that's pretty damn positive. Whoever is embodying that, and you don't have to be a woman for that to be the case. But I'll get into that as I do next reading. Otherwise, you guys stay victorious. Someday, in the very, very far future, hopefully I'll see you all in Valhalla. So stay courageous. Remember, you guys are warriors. It doesn't matter if you're biggest, strongest, or you're just spending all your time on your knees in prayer and doing, making the world a better place. You are warriors. So I'll see you there. Goodbye.